As I mentioned in my last video, Teen Titans is one of my favorite works of fiction of all time, and truly one of the greatest shows that I've ever seen, if not the greatest, and for so many reasons that I couldn't explain in that video, that I came to say, hey, let's just make a video on it and explain it today, and tell you guys what makes Teen Titans so special for me, and for so many other people. I know most people who have seen Teen Titans already probably love it and have good reasons to remember it so fondly, but I rarely hear people truly express legitimate reasons as to why the show truly is one of the greatest shows ever made. A lot of shows around the same era of Teen Titans have the same situation, everything from Avatar: The Last Airbender to Justice League Unlimited to even Clone Wars and Spectacular Spider-Man, where they're relatively episodic in nature with several mixes of overarching storylines and plots sprinkled in that make the characters more cohesive and the overall story more digestible and better to invest in over the course of the series' runtime. This period of shows was marked by several shows and series' transition to arc form, long form storytelling, especially coming from the more episodic nature that live shows were in the earlier 2000s and the late 90s. Back in the early 2000s, it was extremely rare to see a show that could captivate children with all the colors on the screen and all the random hijinks just happening in these shows, while also telling a multi-episode spanning narrative that could connect several events throughout the season and also pass different seasons in the same continuity and tell a more cohesive story to the same audience and for it to be digested just as well. This happens a few times in Teen Titans, especially in Season 2 with the Judas Contractor Terra arc, the Red X/Apprentice saga, the Prophecy / the End arc, or the Brother Blood Hive Takeover arc later in the show. But this type of story and series structure was adopted by Teen Titans specifically partially due to the strong anime influence that the show clearly had. Arc story structure is a staple of long-running anime, as most series are most known to be separated by malleable length arcs with central themes or characters that may not follow the simple format of a normal season. This style of storytelling allowed Teen Titans to build a cast of characters that are expansive beyond the main 5 in bite-sized chunks that both children and adults could watch over the course of months, that built to various conclusions that could either be self-contained or longer lasting. But regardless, they were narratives with a consistent through line that were well written enough for audiences of any kind to invest in. One of the makings of a show that could be considered one of the greatest ever is that it has to be digestible and well liked, honestly, for any audience. I wouldn't put a show that's strictly a kid's show in the list of one of the greatest shows of all time. And what separates Teen Titans from the rest of the pack and puts it in that upper echelon of shows in that category is its universal themes that can be adaptive for any type of audience. Teen Titans is actually a show whose audience base partially adapted throughout its runtime, and the show also adapted to become something greater because of that. Earlier in the series' runtime, the more self-contained episodes are very much a product of the SpongeBob kids show animated dominated market stemming from the late 90s and early 2000s. But as Teen Titans continued into its later seasons, the lack of toy sales as well as other data surrounding the show proved that its main audience was actually kind of slided to more of a teenage demographic, if not even older. This will later affect the show in its episodes that take a more darker or even more mature approach to things in Nevermore, Switched, or The Sum of Its Parts, which tackle issues of emotional control and self-acceptance on a level that would be much more resonant with a teenage audience rather than the children the show was actually kind of geared toward within its earlier episodes. Or really just anything with Mad Mod, to be honest. This, along with, of course, the way that the stories were actually presented in the show, allowed for older audiences to really connect with the deeper messages and the themes that the characters were portraying in the show. It also allowed for teenagers and more middle-aged audiences to really vibe with the characters and get to understand them and connect with them and their problems on a more intimate and one-to-one level. And of course, the jokes and surface level elements of the show still kept it in the minds of young children to where they were able to be attracted to the show and still maintain watching the show as they continue to grow up, especially for kids like me at the time. One of the main things that I think goes undervalued about Teen Titans is truly the character writing. As an almost completely character-driven narrative made for almost all audiences, the complexity, intrigue, and charisma of every character must be perfect in order to keep people connected and entertained no matter who is on screen. And yet in another showcasing of storytelling brilliance, this is another aspect that Teen Titans knocks out the fucking park. Robin is a guy who tugged at the imagination of all kids who grew up with the Titans. Of course, being the most recognizable character in the entirety of the show, Robin is also kind of partially responsible for being the first thing that everyone is going to see when they first watch Teen Titans or hear about it or see its merchandise. And because of that, his character profile not only has to fit with the audience that the show is currently maintaining or that's currently watching, but his character is also kind of in charge with being in line with the pre-established ideas that outside audiences have with this character coming in. His stoic and mission first always attitude in the show is most reminiscent of his time with the Bat. There are times when Dick Grayson has this approach, but a lot can be attributed to his disagreement with the Bat over their long time working together. And in this show, as a result of Batman's absence, the Boy Wonder would most likely take a much more Batman-like approach, becoming engrossed with his mission, and it's a decision that not only serves the story, but also the audience's expectations of what Robin should be. And it's amazing that the storytellers and the writers were able to recognize that early on and contrive a show, a series, and a character who can do that to the utmost degree. Beast Boy is a character who serves mainly to balance the rest of the team in situations where these teenagers can be very serious, highly stressed, and just in situations that are out of the ordinary. Beast Boy provides levity in moments where a breath of stress-free air is kind of needed, or just when a nice, immature joke is kind of warranted. He never breaks the serious moment for a joke though. His moments are perfectly placed within the story and kind of paced throughout to where the moments for fun can still be had while the moments for seriousness can still be balanced. Cyborg and Beast Boy both play parts in the story of emotional levity, but they also have entire arcs and seasons centered around their themes and philosophies as characters. Part of their existence in the story is a partial stand-in for the audience watching, partially due to their very relatable issues and challenges with body dysmorphia, self-confidence, betrayal, and just feeling like a general outcast. This leads to both being fan favorites and some of the most well-remembered characters of all time. Starfire makes her mark on the show despite being the only character who doesn't really receive her own dedicated season, but she is probably the most relatable character in the entire series. And that's saying a lot, because out of all of the Titans' very relatable and very developed and well thought out issues, Starfire's is probably the most consistent and also stands out the most in the entire cast. Her struggles to fit in and her estrangement is felt so strong throughout the show, whether it be shown in her sister's appearances or in her own mind, challenging her position in Friends with the Titans, or in her struggling jealousy for Robin's other love interest, or even with her own insecurities shown in the Transformation episode. Star's problems are consistently shown to be the ones that most of us watching the show can resonate with the most. The final element to what makes Teen Titans such a legendary show of praise to some of the most highest degree is all kept in the show's secret ingredient, its final puzzle piece, Raven of Azarath. You see, if I had to make its own list, Raven would probably be one of my 20 favorite characters in all of fiction. The way her mental anguish and emotional turmoil are demonstrated and shown throughout the show is one of the best cases of character writing that I've ever seen in animation. Raven is an empath, born to the ultimate evil in the universe, also known as Trigon.
Kill all your friends.
Her powers consist of controlling pure darkness and shadows alike, advanced levels of astral projection, telekinesis, and her use of magic through the stability of her overall emotional state at the time, meaning that she must always control, understand, and also suppress her emotional state. This is compounded by the fact that she is faced with the task of sealing and containing her father, Satan, locked in a gemstone placed in her forehead, where she hears, feels, and struggles to keep every demonic thought from entering her mind and being and remaining stable. Raven is a character who constantly deals with the most to receive the least reward. Her character is intrinsically tied to each level of the plot as well. In season 1, she is consistently connected and matched up with Mad Mod and his antics, along with being tied with the season's themes directly of secrets and emotional control. In season 2, her trust is betrayed by Terra, which truly wounds her, along with breaking Beast Boy's trust and love, which also hurts her more as people who she came to appreciate and care about. Also, her rivalry and disdain for Terra is also a key feature of this arc. Add this to her standout episodes of exploring her psyche and Fear itself, Nevermore and Switched, and she is constantly a character whose life is examined and whose development is clear. In season 3, Raven did jack shit. But in season 4, her story of her life comes to the forefront. She's faced to eternally consider and protect the fate of the world with it in her hands. The absence of her family, the tragedy of her homeworld, the lack of emotion she can express, and the feeling of everlasting loneliness as no one could ever understand the responsibility that she bears. But yet, she fucking fights by eventually opening up to the Titans and allowing them to come into her life and fight with her amongst the evils of the world, the villains of Jump City. And now she can continue to go one more day knowing that she's not alone. Even if not emotionally or mentally, she can relieve her burden through the Titans. She can trust them like she's never been able to trust anyone before in her life. With the Titans, she can commit herself, literal devil spawn, to ridding the world of evil by fighting for the greatest good. And it's this message that Raven portrays of overcoming destiny and saying fuck the world when the world all your life has been saying fuck you straight to your face, that Teen Titans portrays and writes in some of the most greatest ways I've seen in this medium. I love this show and I love you guys for watching this video. Thank you. If you enjoyed, leave a like. If you have anything to say, leave it in the comment section. I always reply to those, except for the video that has like over 100 of them. I still don't know why that Young Justice video blew up, but I thank y'all for watching. I have to get to practice, and I will catch y'all next time. Hopefully streams will be coming up soon. Hopefully I'll get some more time off every other week, hopefully, to upload. Shout out River for editing this video with me, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.